What's up, Cinephiles? In our first Halloween special, we are going to rock Stephen King's Adaptations. We are going to exclude the series, the mini-series. We are going to just focus on the films. Yeah. And personally, I haven't seen all of the Stephen King adaptations, but I have seen the popular ones.
You know what? Stephen King is probably my favorite author of all time. So I'm excited for this. Let's do it. Let's start.
I'm going to start with my top 10. So my top number 10 pick is actually 1922. This is a Netflix release. This is very bleak and this is a very devastating content, but it shows the effects of doing a bad decision in your life. What I like about this film does not rely on heavy jump scares. This film is bolstered by a strong performance from Thomas Jane, and even though he has this thick southern accent, you can really deeply empathize with this character. It's a deeply moving character study.
Okay, for my number 10 film, I'm choosing 1408, starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. I really like this movie. They're just basically in room 1408. There's flashbacks, there's scares. This is a very great Stephen King adaptation for me.
That is actually my ninth on the list. I like 1408 because the film is mostly set in this room and it's able to bring a lot of visual flair into the film, and it creates this paranoia of what's really happening. It really boasts a strong, compelling performance for John Cusack. I feel like this is one of his best performances in his career.
For my number 9 pick, I'm choosing It Chapter 2. If you haven't seen our review, just click the link below. It Chapter 2 isn't as good as Chapter 1, but regardless, it's still a good movie. It doesn't stray away too much from the novel, and it worked. The performances are great. Pennywise is still scary as ever. So It Chapter 2, that's my number 9.
It Chapter 2 is not on my list, but for my number 8, I picked Gerald's Game. This has almost the same setup with 1408. We are stuck in the room, inside a single room for the most part of the film. But what I like about this film is it's really deeply introspective.
Gerald's Game is actually number 5 on my list. I really dig this movie. It's more of a character study for me than a horror film, and it will surprise you. This film has some certain turns, certain characters show up that will surprise you, that will scare you, horrify you. This is amazing. I'm putting it on my number 5. On my number 8 is The Mist. The setting is not really that big. They're just practically in this grocery store, but you see so much commentaries here regarding what people will do at certain points of desperation in time. So this is another Stephen King movie that I really enjoyed.
This film also features Thomas Jane, the same actor for 1922. And I must say, this is one of the films that traumatized me as a child. It talks about the lengths that the people are willing to go through just to survive. It focuses on the religious fanaticism. So The Mist is actually my number 7 on my list. And number 6 is Misery. So Misery stars Kathy Bates. I like this film because first, it delivers a very strong performance from Kathy Bates. And while this film has a bit cheesy aspects into it, maybe because it's a 1980 film, I feel like this is a seminal classic for the upcoming obsession films to follow.
Misery is also actually my number 6. Katie Bates should be Norman Bates in this movie because she's really scary. She's a psycho. This movie terrified me as a young adult. The thought that such a deranged fan can do this to someone. There's certain scenes here that is stuck on my head forever. I think you know what I'm talking about. And
there's a public scene.
Yeah, so my number 7 is Carrie, the original one, not the recent one. I hate that movie. But the original Carrie is, well, it's iconic. I've seen it as a child, one of the movies that traumatized me. Seeing all this blood on this poor young lady, while she turns beast mode, she uses her power to kill all these people, harm all these people.
I just want to ask what separates the original film from the 2013 remake.
The original one is much better in tone, whereas the more recent Carrie is much more sensationalized.
But the plot points happening here are...
The plot points are practically the same. It's just the execution is different.
For my fifth film is actually It, 2017, directed by Andy Muschietti. Apart from delivering the jump scares and the sense of dread, what ultimately latched me into this film is the coming of age story arc between among the children and about overcoming your fears and how the film presents different types of fears. And also it has a strong performance across the board. Everyone, especially Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. I am truly frightened. I felt like a child watching this film.
It is actually number 3 on my list. This is one of the movies that I absolutely adored. I completely agree. The coming of age film carries the entire movie. These children, the performances of these children, you really root for them. So Pennywise, absolutely scary. Bill Skarsgård is perfect casting. So my number 4 is Green Mile. This stars Tom Hanks. This is also directed by Frank Darabont, by the way. This isn't a horror film. This is more of a drama, but this really gets me every time, man.
It's interesting because the films that I like more in the Stephen King adaptations are the one which have more philosophical waxing in it. I placed Green Mile as my third film because the film presenting this idea that in the end we're just walking a green mile towards our death. If you don't know what a green mile is the color of the tile in the death row. So yeah, it has a lot of metaphorical and a lot of sentiments about death, the justice system, which really feels relevant up to now. This is one of the life-changing films that I put up there. Okay, fourth film is Stand By Me. Now, some people tell me that Breakfast Club is an overrated film. I think it's just fine, but after seeing Stand By Me, I now think Breakfast Club as an overrated film. If there needs to be a seminal classic between the two, I think this is Stand By Me. So basically, what Stand By Me represents, it's about the friends from your childhood that you haven't seen from a long time ago, but those people changed your life. It shaped who you are now, your path, whether it's career or life in general. The film banks on a lot of nostalgia. It's also a coming of age film, and the story is pretty straightforward to follow.
Okay, now we're about to get into the all-time greats. Number 2 is The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Man, if you're a horror fan, you should go see this movie. It's probably considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time, if not the greatest horror movie of all time. This has it all. Scares, this has drama, this has amazing performances, especially by Jack Nicholson. It's just sad that Stephen King didn't like this adaptation because it's really not that accurate with what's in his novels. But as a movie, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is definitely one of the most well-directed movies of all time. This is absolutely amazing. This is a must-watch.
Yes, this is very popular, one of his most popular works up to now, and I'm glad that this film remains to be relevant up to now. It successfully builds a sense of dread. For me, the concept of horror has now been redefined. Prior to watching this film, I am used to horror being a lot of jump scare, a lot of gore, but this one really creeps to your core. I am excited for the upcoming sequel. So
Dr. Sleep, yeah.
We actually have the same topic, but I'm proud to present this film because this film also happens to be my most favorite film of all time. It's called The Shawshank Redemption, directed by Frank Darabont.
Actually, if you recall, a year ago, I think we participated in a challenge of top 10 films of all time. I also put this as my number 1 because this movie is just life-changing. Morgan Freeman in this movie is amazing. I'm sorry, but I forgot the actor who played Andy Dufresne, but that character is one of the best ever written. This movie just 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10, 100 out of 10. This changed my life, man.
It has excellent character growth from the main cast to the supporting cast, but when we say life-changing, I am personally struck by the quote, get busy living or get busy dying. So these two are prisoners and these are they're on their existential quest to be liberated. It's not just a physical prison that keeps them in that place, but it's also a liberation on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, and it really has a lot of gratifying elements to it. And I highly recommend people to see this more.
Okay, so that's it for our Stephen King rankings.
If you think there's a deserving film that we have missed, we need you guys to comment down below and share with us your top 10. Also, if you have any ideas for our upcoming Halloween specials, if you want us to review a previous film or do more rankings, we would like to know your thoughts. So please comment your suggestions below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
And also hit the notification bell and follow us on Twitter @ScreenKingsPH.
Okay, bye-bye.